Chapter 5. Building one fan at a time. He starts off the chapter with a quote, "You need to confidently exclude people and proudly say what you are not." This is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggle with it in my own branding and my own marketing material, especially when we start off. I think we have this scarcity mentality of you don't want to miss out on any fans or for myself, clients. So you end up trying to appeal to everybody, and as the old saying goes, if you try to appeal to everybody, you end up appealing to nobody. So just off the jump, I think that's a really good little thing to think about. I know we've talked already in this book about creating fan avatars. So I think that you should develop a sense of who you're trying to talk to and even who you're not trying to talk to. Another quick little thing that he talks about at the very beginning, which I think is really interesting and probably a very fair point, is the rock star mystique is all but dead. You have to really engage with your fans, Facebook Lives. People are talking with their fans all the time, so that mystique and quietness doesn't really exist as much anymore. Alan Raymond has done a really good job of creating mystique, but he's the only person I can really think of that has that classic sort of rock star mystique. Then there's he goes into the topic of engagement versus followers and plays as well, which is something that, being a podcaster, I also sort of wrestle with a little bit myself. It's good. It feels like you get that dopamine hit when you get a bunch of listens on something. But if people aren't engaging and you don't have a way to follow up with those people who've been watching, then plays don't really mean anything. I think maybe I talked about this before, but you can get put on a Spotify playlist and you could get 1 million listens, which is nice. You'll get a check for that. But since you don't necessarily have a way to follow up, you may not even get 1,000 fans out of 1 million listens on Spotify. And this is sort of something that I've been looking at running Facebook ads and stuff like that, is you can really, with Facebook ads, whether you go through Instagram or Facebook, you can retarget people really well. So that's a good way to have that follow-up. People aren't necessarily going to become your number one fan after watching 30 seconds of a video, but if they watch that 30 seconds that you can follow up consistently and perhaps build a relationship. So that's just sort of something to consider when you think about when you're going for views or you're counting your likes or whatever, vanity things we do on social media. And he's developed sort of a concept, he calls it the pyramid of investment and the pyramid of engagement. For a fan at every level, they should be able to support you financially in some sort of way. So pyramid of investment is streamers, buyers, concert goers, merch, crowdfunders, fan clubs, VIPs. So obviously VIPs are at the top and streamers are at the bottom. And investment isn't only financial, it's also how your fans engage. So you have people who like your stuff, who like your page on social media, but don't even engage with your content. You have your passive fans. You have your active fans who are liking and commenting on your posts. Passive email list, so those are the people that maybe don't even open your emails. And you have active emails, people who open your emails, a street team, and then at the very top, if you're lucky, you got your mom. Goes over something that I think is important for all small business, and this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video of excluding, except it's less negative, more positive. Get rich in your niche. Gotta own your niche, know all the artists, know all the managers, know everybody in your niche, and go as deep as you can with your niche. and find your audience. For example, like, you're not just a hip hop artist, you're an underground hip hop artist with a conscious activist message, for instance. Get to know everybody in your scene. And this is what I've been doing a lot of, is networking online, because especially with COVID, social media, Facebook groups, these are great ways to engage with and get to know lots of fans. I know people who really engage on a local level with Facebook groups, and it's really helped them grow their brand and their audience. So that's something to really consider, is like finding Facebook groups that are active, that really fit your niche, and engaging with the people in there. Not just popping up every month to drop a single. Make sure you're in there, like, joking around and really engaging with people and being part of the community. In this next section, it's really cool. I'm not going to get too far into it, but he breaks down LA, New York, London, and Nashville, which city is like the pros and the cons of each city. And I think it's a really cool little bit of the chapter. He even breaks down like each neighborhood and the vibes. I've never been to any of those cities, so it was really inspiring for me. I definitely want to be visiting those once things start opening up. How to find out who your fans are. Make a list of artists that you sound like. This list will help you set up direct marketing campaigns, like on Facebook Business Manager. You can, if you know you sound like a certain artist, if that artist is big enough, you can target people who like that artist. So instantly you can find your demographic, which is so powerful and so incredible. He says you should master Facebook Business Manager, and I mean, it's a big ask to do that. I've been diving more and more into it and wrapping my head around it a bit better, but it's a lot of work. But it's something that definitely, if you're in a band, you should have one person who knows how to do stuff. It's really incredibly powerful. The more I learn about it, I'm just more and more blown away. He also details the different kinds of playlists. This is another thing that I'm not going to dive too far into, but there's Spotify curated playlists, and they rely really heavily on analytics of how people are engaging with the music before they put the music onto the playlist. So you kind of have to have a little bit of a buzz going before you'll be accepted onto one of those. There's user curated. I mean, you and I probably have made a playlist ourselves, but there's some that are more popular than others. And there's algorithmically generated stuff like Discover Weekly, Release Radar, Daily Mix, Fresh Finds. Again, he goes so into detail. Get the book and read it. But like I said earlier in the video, it's really important to remember that streams do not equal fans. You can get 1 million streams and it won't necessarily net you 1,000 fans. So the success of being added to a playlist can be really fleeting because you don't have a way to follow up. This goes for vanity metrics, this goes for streams. The goal should always be to build a loyal fan base. And I think that's really important to drive home. Which goes into the next point of the mailing list, which is, he says, is still the best way to connect with fans. You know, Facebook, I'm not sure, you maybe get 5% of people who like your page will see something you posted. Instagram is dropping to something similar as well. So when you start an email list, you know every single person is going to at least see the email even if they don't open it. All the contacts in your email list, you own that information. Whereas social media, you just rent. Like the old adage is, like, what happens if Instagram goes down tomorrow? what would be your plan? If you have an email list, you're safe. If you have a good email list, but if you don't, it's something that you may want to work on. And that's it for chapter 5. Again, great content from Ari. This stuff is so powerful, and it's stuff that I wish I had been looking into earlier when I was really on my artist journey. But it's still really powerful, and I really enjoy reading it, and I'm glad to be sharing it with everybody who's been checking it out. So thanks, and catch you next week.